It's a beautiful Wednesday morning and welcome you to the edition of VOP this morning on Voice of the People TV. I am Fina. Okay, Chuku, good morning. And I'm not alone in the studio. I have, when I talk about...
You're never alone indeed.
I cannot be.
Yes, we don't walk alone.
Exactly.
But we are not...
I didn't say anything.
Oh, well, good morning to you. Welcome to the program. I'm Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. Good morning.
And on the show this morning, we'll be looking at a freedom under siege, Atiku blasts president, and assault on democracy as fearless October protests looms. And also on our radar, some other people are beginning to talk about how we don't have problem with Igbo residents, but Yorubas pretending as Lagosians. Also, the Canadian government tells FG to go and resolve your ethnic and intertribal issues through peaceful means. And this was as a result of the issue between Sandberger, Amaka Sandberger, making a call on a social media platform, TikTok, talking about how if she has the opportunity, she's going to, poison a particular group of people. But now the Canadian government have, bring it back again to the table of the federal government, telling them to resolve the intertribal issues among themselves amicably.
All right, these are the issues we'll be focused on this morning. But we do have a few other things that we'll touch on in the course of the program. So we'll encourage that you stay with us. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Now, we'd like for you to click on the bell, the bell icon on YouTube. And do well to subscribe, and do well also to drop your views underneath the live stream. Let's know what you think about the conversation we're having. Well, over 200 inmates, including some Boko Haram commanders, have escaped from Maiduguri new prison after torrential rains caused severe flooding that made the prison wall to collapse. Now, despite prior government assurances of flood prevention, this year the flooding has already claimed at least 205 lives across 29 states, displacing over 225 individuals from their 225,000 individuals from their homes, and also exposed alarming discrepancies in Borno State's flood control budget. Well, with only 20 million naira spent out of 1.6 billion naira allocated for the 2024, a scrutiny, I beg your pardon, of the budget performance document has raised questions about government's genuine commitment to addressing the perennial flooding issues plaguing states, especially Borno State. Well, we have records that we just might put up on the screen that shows certain amounts of money that was set aside for flood prevention, but unfortunately, proper accountability is what we're dealing with now, as no one is truly accounting for the usage of those funds. Well, these are the issues. This one trended on social media with pictures surfacing of how people were wading through the flood waters. There was a particular picture of a young man, carrying his father on his back, wading through, and the flood waters were about chest level. I don't know how tall the young man is, but for it to get to chest level, one can, deduce, conclude that he should be at least above 5 feet, in height. And if that be the case, then those waters, that level is troubling. Well, it's not just about prison inmates now. It's not the first time. This is not the first time we are seeing this. In April, earlier in the year, we saw about 118 inmates in Susuleja prison. Yeah. The walls collapsed. Prison inmates escaped. It's one too many. In fact, in Borno yesterday, it wasn't just about the inmates and the inmates that escaped. It wasn't just about individuals that were displaced. Even animals were displaced from zoo. One of the animals, an ostrich, has been recaptured. And as crocodiles were also sighted in some areas. Well, the good news is we haven't had reports of animals attacking humans in that state. But what does this portend, really? It's a terrible thing, especially when there was a pre-announcement that there might be flooding. And what is the conversation around protecting dams? The Alau Dam collapsed yesterday, and that increased the water level. Terrible, terrible indeed.
Moses, it's a humanitarian concern, considering that 225,000 people and more have been displaced, by the flood. But it's also it's trending because it's also a security concern. I mean, how many inmates?
Over 200.
Over 200 inmates.
And most of them, commanders of Boko Haram, who have been let into the society by that singular mistake. Money was earmarked for this project.
1.6 billion.
Was the money, okay, 1.6 billion earmarked, but as at the time of this flooding, only 20 million naira had been approved, released for the project. And now we have over 200 people, most of them commanders of a terrorist group, unleashed into society again. This is not the first time, like you rightly said. It happened sometime in Suleja. And up until now, we've not heard that so and so people were rearrested and taken back. And you begin to ask, why will you arrest terrorists and put them in a facility that is not maximum security?
I hope you understand that even that maximum security in Kuje was attacked.
No,
and then people there were set free altogether.
It's a different thing that they mobilized and attacked.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. But this one is flawed. And you put commanders of a terrorist group in a minimum security facility.
Minimum facility.
What does it tell you? It tells you that, look,
like a mystical attitude of the government towards...
The conspiracy theory around the whole thing of trying of some people at the top being part of this insecurity is glaring. You can see it. You don't need to travel far to see all of this. Like I said, it's a humanitarian concern to the extent that, look, every year we announce, for the past 5, 6, 7 years, we have been going through this. The other day we saw President Jonathan being ferried out of his house. We saw what happened to Senator Dino Melaya, and all of that. Towns, cities are submerged. And we wait for it to happen next year. And again, next year. And again, the other year. So who are we? Is that what we have become? We can't solve our problems. Some people will say it's natural disaster. Yes, it's natural disaster, but you could have been controlled. You can plan ahead of it. So look, authorities, whether the military, the DSS, should also, because they now constitute internal security threats. So they should stop arresting journalists and all members of civil society organizations. They should go after these people that have been unleashed in society. And the next time we are going to talk about this, is probably that certain people have been declassified, not declassified, debriefed, and all of that, and integrated into our security agencies. Somebody said that Nigeria should be on a Netflix. I think the person was right.
And to make matters worse, some of these people that have escaped due to the flooding are said to be armed, might be armed, and well, the authorities are warning individuals to be careful to be watchful of those people. So, what are you actually asking people to do? Take security into continue to take security into their hands, because really Nigerians protect themselves. Nigerians provide their own security, and it's really unfortunate that this has happened once again.
Talking about people being watchful or being careful out there, we also want to ask, how do you identify them when you see them? Do we have their pictures outside? Because in a senior country, when there's a prison, but we are yet to have.
They have mugshots of these people. They should have mugshots of these individuals. And right after the flooding and the escape, they should have put out
their names and also their mugshots.
We have NIN. I mean, in the United States, when you arrest terrorists, you do know where they take them to Guantanamo Bay. To Guantanamo Bay is a facility you can never break into.
Yeah. Also on our radar this morning, another trending topic or story, the General of Officer Commanding of the Nigerian Army 6th Division, Major General J.H. Abdulsalam, has vowed that the military will continue operations in Okwama community, Ughelli South in Delta State, until arms and equipment allegedly taken by hoodlums are recovered. Addressing the press on Tuesday, he also expressed sorrow over the killing of soldiers in the community in March 2024. Absalam dismissed reports that the army had invaded the community, clarifying that it was a normal military operation aimed at retrieving their lost assets. I was thinking that the Okoma issue for now would have actually ended. They would have been able to apprehend the people or who give the orders for soldiers to be attacked, when they went there for the peace accord. But, saying they will continue to be there until they recover their equipment and all the arms, one wants to ask what is really happening. We had a female voice in Niger State during the time of this Okoma incident talking about how the Boko Haram terrorist groups in the north have been killing people, even the soldiers. We also heard how they stormed some places. Some soldiers have also died in the hands of the terrorist group. And we are yet to see this type of determination by the Nigerian army in fishing out the terrorist groups and the people who are constituting nuisance in other parts of the country. But anyway, they say they are going to continue to be there until they recover their arms and other equipment that we carted on.
Do you know what our military have turned to? Professor Adi Alafibo, I don't know if you've heard about him. Professor Adi Alafibo, one of Africa's best historians. He said, of men and war, of women and history. Do you know what that means? Men go to fight a war.
Women
it is the
tell the
women that
stories.
tell the stories.
Yeah.
That is what our military have become. You have an enclave, clearly enveloped by insecurity, by terrorists, by bandits. You have not gone there to flush them out. You go to a peaceful community in Okwama.
But it was peaceful, relatively peaceful until
what happened?
There was an attack on
who did the attack? Moses, let's not get into that. It was clearly supposed to be a law enforcement engagement until the military put themselves into it.
But they were invited,
Good.
They were invited.
So was the police overwhelmed before the military was invited?
Was the police overwhelmed? When we have our military littered on the streets in Nigeria?
Let's concentrate on the issue that, look, we have an Okwama and they have determined, like you said, why the determination to go there and they want to recover their arms. Fina, have they recovered the APC that was taken away from them 2 weeks ago? I mean, let's look at it. It is what it is.
The one that was demobilized.
Demobilized. Have they recovered
demobilized, meaning it cannot be used.
But have they recovered it?
Well, it's that is the issue. They haven't informed us.
They haven't informed us. So they should tell Nigerians. I don't make excuses.
Yeah.
I don't defend people who kill soldiers or kill security agencies.
It's even glaring.
It is evil, But I also like to see the military deploy this kind of effort in banditry, kidnapping, terrorist-prone regions of the country. That's what the conversation is all about.
Exactly. That's also the line I also take this morning because, when you check it out, you look at it the way it is being done, you find out that it's more like some people are beginning to have selective way of operation in some other parts. And Nigerians are beginning to talk about this, if it happens to be a little or one attack against the military in one other part, you see the full force. But when it happens in other parts of the country, it's more like it's going to be treated with kid gloves. But let's see how they are able to get their equipment and also their arms from Okwama community within the time that they will spend there. But I know that they also come up to say they have names of individuals that they have on their radar. They say that.
Concern that.
So why are they still there?
And we also heard reports that those that may have perpetrated that had fled. The community. Yeah. They had long fled that community.
So
why the occupation of that area? I think a lot more should be done. And rightly, like Chukuma did say, we should see efforts like this get towards areas where we have banditry attacks, kidnappings, Boko Haram, areas that are prone to such attacks should see, such enforcement, such release of law enforcement agents to curtail their activities as against, what. Now, this feels like killing a fly with a sledgehammer. It's really unfortunate, but we do hope that they recover the said arms that are missing. Oh well. let's get into major conversations for today. We have the papers. We'll be looking at headlines from the papers in about a minute. Stay with us. All right, then, so let's get into the papers now. Come with us as we touch on headlines from different dailies. We do have the Punch newspaper on our table this morning. And of course, the conversation we just had, the Borno dam collapse and the flooding is right there on the cover page of the Punch newspaper. That's the banner headline. Borno dam collapse, FG opens IDP camps. As flood submerges 70% of Maiduguri, inmates escape, thousands displaced. Tinubu NAS governors pledge aid as NEMA begins evacuation. Chukuma, IDP camp has been opened. Immediately opened.
For the,
but then, anyway,
for the displaced people.
We'll talk about this later.
Even the vice president also went to Maiduguri.
Yes.
Also to
we'll talk more about this from the 9 o'clock hour.
Yes,
but in the meantime, on top of the nameplate, why NNPC may not lift Dangote petrol on Sunday. Sub-riders, fuel importers fear domestic production. Refiners Association. I'll take that one again. Why NNPC may not lift Dangote petrol on Sunday. Fuel importers fear domestic production. Refiners Association. That can be found on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Southwest governors to spend 266 billion naira on airport projects. INEC ready for free fair poll, Yakubu declares. Obi canvasses, that's when it comes to Edo governorship poll. INEC ready for free fair poll, Yakubu declares. Obi canvasses votes for Akpata in Benin. All right, when you go further down, we have the picture there of the Borno community, the Maiduguri that was flooded, really. And underneath, beside that one, yes, more pictorials, of course. Underneath that one, the Lagos Red Line train to transport 150,000 passengers daily. 10,000 new recruits for deployment, February 2025. Police. 70,000 naira wage. NYSC awaits FG directive on new coppers pay. I do say civil servants are also awaiting the government's payment of that minimum wage. Well, these are the headlines from the Punch newspaper.
All right, on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, the banner headline there reads, DSS arrested Ajero over alleged terrorism financing and treason. The writers to that bold headline, Presidency rejects TUC UK allusion of rights violations in Nigeria. We regret not joining hunger protest in August. And that is according to NLC. And above the nameplate, the window headlines there are 3 years after NCAT, 18 months, course students, pilots yet to graduate. 3 years after NCAT, 18 months course, student pilots yet to graduate. The writer to that story, students write additional exams to get FAA, EACA recognition. Tinubu's operation surpasses harshest military dictatorship, according to Atiku. Tinubu's operation surpasses harshest military dictatorship, Atiku. And we have a major pictorial, and that is from the 17th annual conference of the CBIN. We have also the vice president appear on that picture, and we also have Tony Olubelu in that particular picture. And besides that, Goba Paul, Edo government raises alarm over arrest of PDP leader. Algon protest, arrest of council boss. You can get that story on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. FG deploys Neymar to Borno over flood disaster. Custom tightens surveillance at borders to halt petrol smuggling. That story is also on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Military restates capacity to protect Nigerians and joins cooperation. Military restates capacity to protect Nigerians and joins cooperation. That is on page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper. I'll have another bold headline on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. We have restored confidence in Nigeria's economy, says Tinubu. Reiterates subsidy removal will free resources for critical investment. In the bottom strip headline, reports of Peter Obi's arrest by DSS baseless. And that is according to the aid. That story is on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And those are the headlines that made it to the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning.
And from the Daily Trust newspaper, we have flooding, over 200,000 displaced, children missing in Maiduguri. That's the headline. And you have the riders. Corpses float as cemetery washed away. Houses, shehus palace, hospitals submerged. Crocodiles, snakes escape into communities. Shettima consoles victims as Zulum reopens IDP camps. And just below the nameplate, you have Ajero's arrest, violation of trade union freedom. That's according to the United Kingdom Trade Union Congress, TUC. Nigeria's crude oil production rose to 1.352 million in August. That's coming from OPEC. Israel kills 248 Palestinians in safe zones as rights groups condemn siege. There's a pictorial there, the pictures of the submerged city. That's Maiduguri. That's quite unfortunate. And you have another headline, 125,507 terrorists, family members surrendered. I'll take that again. 125,517 terrorists, family members surrendered. That's according to the Defense Headquarters. And the bottom strip headlines read, retired judge charged with assaulting neighbor's wife. Youths block road over killing of charcoal dealers in Bauchi. And the last but not the least, 5 bandits killed, corpses dumped in FCT community. And that's all from the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, so Daily Trust, we've also dished out Daily Independent and the Punch newspaper. Touching on the Guardian newspaper now, I particularly like the way the Guardian reports these headlines, especially the flooding in Borno, with a breakdown of numbers actually. Well, the banner headline from the Guardian reads, fears of fatalities as Borno Dam collapses, displaces 500,000. And then there's a breakdown. Key metrics of 2024 flood incidents, pre-dam crisis, 29 affected states, 172 affected LGAs, 809,312 affected persons, 386,239 displaced persons, 94,491 houses affected, 2,390 injuries sustained, 125,805 hectares of farmlands affected, 229 lives lost. Terrible data here. Army denies fresh invasion of Okwama, says it's routine military operation. Petrol pump price hike, a failure of leadership. Nigerians are disappointed. Ariel Nokakamfo tells Tinubu, FG rolls out free CNG kits. 230 naira a liter gas. Obi, Oti, right INEC over LP caretaker committee. Abuja residents groan over restricted access to 40,000 naira rice. And these are the headlines, of course, from the Guardian newspaper. Unfortunately, that's all we can take from the papers at this moment. At 9 o'clock, we'll have an in-depth analysis of the headlines from the dailies. That's during the newspaper review program. In the meantime, freedom on the siege Atiku blasts president's assault on democracy, that's how he puts it, as fearless October protest looms. Let's go deeper into this conversation after this break.
Full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. V is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Health is a state of complete physical being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays. Join us every Tuesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority. Catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending, from politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VOP TV, 10 p.m. Monday to Friday. Hashtag if it's trending, we bring it on.
Well, the Tinubu administration has faced severe criticism from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and other notable figures who have condemned its actions as escalating assault on civil society and what has been termed oppressive control. They cite the recent arrest of NLC President Joe Ajero, a journalist, and the targeting of Serap as stark examples of the government's disregard for democratic values and human rights. Now, this crackdown on dissenting voices and independent organizations have raised concerns about the administration's commitment to upholding the principles of freedom and justice. Well, in response to these criticisms, presidential aide Bayo Ononuga has defended the government's actions, emphasizing that no one is above the law and that the administration is simply enforcing the rule of law. However, this explanation has failed to calm critics who point to the selective application of the law and the targeting of specific groups and individuals. Meanwhile, the Take It Back movement has announced plans to organize a protest against the government's policies, which they say represents corruption and economic oppression. Iba Gani Adams, Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, has also written an open letter to President Tinubu expressing disappointment and concern handling of economic hardship, insecurity, and human rights, and warning of a potential crisis if these issues are not addressed. Oh well, we have with us in the studio Barrister Darlington Agumwo, who is also a public affairs commentator, and right beside him, a gentleman who's building bridges, like Chukwuma did say, building bridges not just across Nigeria but across Africa. Okpeoluwa Taiwo, he is the director, African Bridge Initiative. Good morning to you. Welcome to the studio, gentlemen.
Morning, Moses. Good to be here today.
Good morning,
Moses, Fina and Sokoro.
Well, talking about building bridges, I'd like to pick it from that point now. Okpeoluwa, does it seem like this administration is building bridges to the people, trying to connect to the people with what seems like a clampdown on dissenting voices? This administration seems to be, there is this perception that this administration is coming down on everyone that is speaking in a language that it does not agree with.
Yeah, thank you for
Should there be a better bridge being built?
Thank you for coming from that angle of building bridges and also the joke around us building bridges in Nigeria and out of Nigeria, which is inevitably one of the best things to do at this season. Yeah, talking about Nigeria as at today, government comes and government goes. Administration comes, administration goes. And we have seen, like I was reading recently, subversion of rule of law under the President Olusegun Obasanjo administration, which Atiku Abubakar was also part of that administration. So what does that mean? Since 1999 up to date, we have seen consistent subversion of rule of law under different administration, be it whatever political party that is in power. Let's say maybe, except for the young man that died, Yaradua, all the other president has been seen to be subverting the rule of law and also suppressing the voice of the people, so to say. So coming to this particular administration,
so you feel there's nothing peculiar about this?
We'll look at it.
Used to it.
We'll look at it that the Nigerians begin to get used to it, and I've not seen the consistency on the Nigerian part in terms to revoting this particular suppression of voices.
Well, that's why Nigerians are speaking up right now.
Now, for Nigerians to speak up, two things are involved. You speak up for ballots. You speak up before ballots. So when you are speaking up, the timing is also very critical. It's not just about speaking up.
So
the timing is also critical.
You're of the opinion that speaking up now against oppression of this administration is not the right time. We should wait and speak during elections. Is that what you're saying? Okay, let me come to Barrister Agumwo now. Now, coming from an administration that has made good use of the media, one that has a lot of media around I would expect that this administration would have some sort of respect for media people. But we've seen clampdown on media individuals, journalists are being picked up. Those that are asking for what is rightfully theirs are being, basically threatened. And, certain activities of this administration, protest is being prohibited under this administration. How do you react to this?
The only issue I have with your question is that you're expecting too much from somebody who does not have anything to offer. I told you here that a snake will always be long. It can't change its size or length. the leopard can never change its spots. Unfortunately, when this thing was building up, most people were deceived. But that's the word. The Lagos Ibadan Press packaged something that we are seeing today. They told us all manner of things. He fought the military. He fought human rights. He fought the democracy. And some of us are saying, no, this thing is not what he's looking at. Oh. Having seen how Buhari deceived us. So when he was coming, I knew, personally, I was not surprised. In the first place, Moses, are you not aware that a bad workman quarrels with his tools? Whenever a dictator is in the making, the first victim is the press. Check all over the world. Whenever a dictator is in the making, he goes after the press, a force. Because they are the ones that will tell the public what is going on. The thing that the public don't know, it is the press that will tell them. Where the dictator is going, it is the press. So they want to make sure that the press is suppressed.
Are you insinuating that the president is tilting towards being a dictator?
Please, whenever civil society organizations and ordinary Nigerians are being suppressed in this manner, what does it tell you? In a democracy, we are not talking of a military regime here.
But looking at what the DSS said over the arrest of Joe Ajero, the president of NLC, they alleged that the reason for his arrest was as regards terrorism financing and even treason. Don't you think that actually can be a way for them to cover all the issues of terrorism happening in Nigeria?
Fina, did you remember the phantom coup of Abacha? Whenever you want to hang a dog, you give it a bad name. Everybody now, in fact, I will not be surprised when they say that this thing we are talking about here now, what this we are discussing now, is treasonable felony. That is the new mantra in town. If you just say anything now that is not good, in fact, you are a candidate for treasonable felony.
Barrister,
so why would I take this serious?
Do you disagree with your colleague right beside you that every administration in Nigeria has tilted towards infringing on the rights of the people?
I disagree. We had a Jonathan in office who swore that nobody will be detained or put in jail unjustly, and he maintained it in spite of the criticism against Jonathan. In fact, all this one that no president has been criticized like Jonathan in the history of this country. The man kept his cool. That TV station had taken, everybody saw what they were doing. It was the press that ran Jonathan out of town. They did all the things they said against it, the man kept quiet. Tell me, did he suppress anybody? Did Jonathan arrest anybody? In spite of all they did, though, you saw the protest at Ojota. Who was arrested? They only used water cannon to disperse them. But look at what is going on. I'm talking of a regime where you and I was buying a bag of rice for 8,000 naira. The exchange rate was 197 naira. With all the man did, look at the criticism. Yeah, the man kept his cool. And now look at this one that came in under 1 year. Look at where we are. Look at where we are. So please, people should not compare apple and orange just because they are fruits. So they are not the same thing. You can get an apple and eat it, but an orange, you can't eat it like that. You must peel it.
Thanks for your thought. Mr. Oelua, I want to come to you now. You heard what Gani Adams, the array on Akakamfu of Yoruba land, said. He said that, look, things are getting out of hand, that the government should do something very fast. Otherwise, it will get out of control. Do you share his views?
All right. No, for Gani Adams, he has spoken his own view, and I share in the sentiment one way or the other. But two things are involved. Number one, the people that are saying that the system is getting worse, what is their role in the system?
But do you agree that the system is getting worse?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Two things are involved. Number one, who is making the system to get worse? And how do we get out of all the quagmire we are now?
You tell us.
Number one, when a leader is coming up, what are the manifesto of that leader? And what are the antecedents of that leader? When you see a docile society, the product of that docile society will be a docile or a dictatorship leader. When a leader is coming up and you are not comfortable with whatever the leader is bringing up, what do? It's either you accept the leader or you reject the leader. That's number one. Number two, when a leader is coming up, what are the agenda of the people to the leader? It is not just for us to sit at the comfort zone on the TV or maybe on our sitting room waiting for the manifesto of the leader. What is your own manifesto as a people? It's when you marry these two together, you'll be able to understand whether the economy will grow or the economy will not grow. It is not a magic.
Mr. Koiluwa, this administration promised renewed hope. That was their manifesto. Yes. That's the mantra, renewed hope. They said they were going to renew the hope of Nigerians against suffering. Against
but Nigeria never had any hope.
Security.
So which hope are you renewing?
There was hope, but the hope fell. So they say they are coming to renew it. Now, within the 15 months they have been in power, hunger has increased, insecurity has increased, poverty, our multidimensional poverty has increased. We'll come back to that again. Every other thing is nosediving, the naira to dollar exchange rate. And now, do you say that the people are docile? These are the same people that rode into the streets, that poured into the streets between August 1 and August 10 to demand for changes, for the promises made. This same administration pushed them back, arrested some, and this administration keeps harassing everybody. You know what happened the other day, yesterday at the international airport? Do you still believe that this administration is doing the best and that the people are docile? Because I hear the fact you say that Nigerians are docile.
I'm surprised that you're asking me that whether this government is still the best or not. This is not the right time.
Are they doing their best?
This is not the right time to be asking
are they doing their best?
Whether the government is doing their best. You can see that everybody is suffering. So you are putting the word best is like you are trying to color. Now the government cannot do the best.
Are they doing good enough?
The government is not doing good. Is that what you want to know? But now, beyond whether the government is doing well or the government is not doing well, what is the position of the people? You know, when you wait for a man, for instance now, we are talking about building a $1 trillion economy. And as of today, we are looking at about 260s in terms of $1 billion economy. So how do we grow that? Between 2021 and 2024, the GDP is going down gradually. Now, what is making the GDP to go down? The people and the government. Because it's not only the government, the people are involved and the government is also involved. For me as a citizen, are you sincere about this society? If we are sincere about the society, look at the last strike protest that took place. There was a divided protest in the country. That shouldn't have been.
Mr. President,
you might not believe in that sentiment, but it was a divided protest. If we have a unified protest in Nigeria, now, something drastic will happen from the government.
Let me put something.
But it was a divided protest.
Let's put this in perspective.
All right.
During the elections, well, you did say that the people are docile and they should make good use of the electoral process.
Absolutely.
Am I correct? Great. Now, during the elections, we saw intimidation. We saw certain individuals speaking down on the people. You remember the votes allocated to each individual. 8 million, about a little over 8 million. That's what the president got. And, and then Atiku Abubakar got a little over 7 million. The next runner-up, Peter Obi, got a little over 6 million.
And then 12 states each.
Would you say that the people did not speak if you combine the two losers to what the winner got during that elections? Would you say, was it a proper representation of what the people were asking for? Did the people properly, vote for this administration? As you respond to that, I would also like you to touch on the fact that has this administration, from when it came into office, we've seen more division among Nigerians, especially ethnic groups. Don't you think it has increased since this administration came into office?
All right. So for me, I'm not too comfortable on discussion about ethnic groups, sincerely. But I will also not support.
I'm not asking you to discuss.
I will also
I'm
not.
saying, haven't we seen more division in that area?
That is totally not true. That is totally not true. There is no division within the people, but there is division within the political elite. And that division within the political elite, they are trying to transfer it to we the people. So as of today, there is no division anywhere within the people. Anytime the people are ready to speak, the voice will be very loud. When we came out to speak, I was part of people that came out on the streets of Lagos to speak against the negative characteristics of the SARS, and it was removed. I was on the street. How come I was on the street? Because I don't believe in it. All right? So, and that was a unified voice. Okay. But when you see the political elite trying to tell you that this person is a Muslim or this person is a Yoruba, that division is within themselves. It's not within the people. Now, there's hunger in the land. There's poverty in the land. Poverty has no color. Poverty has no religion. Poverty has no Yoruba or English. I go to the market every day. It's the same market I go with my brother from the east. Oh, well. The same market I go with my brother from the north. So there's no division within the country.
I hope you are aware that within the space of 1 year, we'll have so many people springing up, agitating and to segregate from the nation, Nigeria. We have those that went to Oyo State to hoist the flag. And then we also have some people also calling for a particular set of people to leave a particular geopolitical zone, okay, which actually have thrown Nigerians into panic over what that can lead to. Are you now still saying that with all these happenings, even some people also protesting hunger in the land, Ebimbawa was also on the lips of some Nigerians, and, do you also think that people are not, or that the ethnic card or something like that is not being played during this particular administration?
All
just
right.
in less than 2 years.
All right. So for Nigeria, as of today, Yoruba man is in power. And I am a pure core Yoruba man. And I will tell you that so many policy under this administration is not going positive. That is number one. Number two, talking about division. The same way you are highlighting those processes and those points that happen, the same way you must also understand that there was a Russian flag during the last protest. Is Russia part of Nigeria? When we are looking at agitators, who are these agitators? Is it somebody that went to agitate against a particular government? Or somebody that went to agitate or protest in favor of a government, and when they got to the point of agitation, the voice or the language changes. So what does that mean? The agitators are not the real agitator. They are sponsored agitators. There is hunger in the land. If I'm coming out today against this government, the first thing I will be leading is what? End hunger. But whenever somebody is saying that you are agitating, that it is the middle belt is leaving the country, or is leaving the government, or somebody from the east is resigning just because the Yoruba man is in power, that means that those people are benefiting from the system. And since they are no more benefiting from the system, they have to resign.
So
or they have to work.
You now believe that there is division?
Division in the land.
Ethnic division in the land.
There is no division among the people. There is division among the political elite. I'm saying that again.
Are also part of the people.
They are not part of the people.
So
because they are not dividing the people. They are not part of the people.
What are they?
They are on their own. Because that is why they are sponsoring people to do what?
So
to agitate.
Division.
They are prolonging and they are advertising division.
The elites belong to different ethnic groups.
Ethnic groups.
Absolutely.
So they are the ones dividing the people.
They are the ones dividing, causing division among the people.
So there is
the people.
division.
There is no division among the people. I'm standing on my word.
All right,
there is no division among the people.
I would like to bring you into the conversation. Looking at what Atiku Abubakar said about how this administration is oppressing the people, more like portraying a harshest part of the military rule, and also with the international body chiming in, also talking about how the TUC International now is talking about how Nigerian government is restricting Joe Ajaero from doing their bidding in the international phase. Mr. Barrister Darlington, what does this really pretend? What does it really show? How does this portray Nigeria in the international phase?
It is what it is. We are looking at a dictator in the making. There are no two ways about it. All the signs are there. It is only somebody who wants to deceive himself that will say, well, by another God that is telling me that nobody is above the law. Are you telling me that he is sincere in what he said. What law did anybody, what offense did anybody commit for you to be saying that everybody is above the law? Is it truly sincere about that statement? Because we have seen people in this country who have committed very heinous crime, and they are walking about free.
Barrister, but you do know that Joe Ajero was invited a second time. The first time he was invited, he went on a particular day that he chose, and then he was also invited a second time.
Moses.
Now, would you say, is it right not to have obeyed that, not to have responded to that invitation immediately, and then choosing to travel?
Please, we cannot be choosing and picking.
Now,
The law is for everybody. Listen very well. Listen. You are going there. Listen. With what Wike had done at FCT, he's supposed to be in court now. You and I know that. The statement alone, the law transit alone. But has anybody even invited him for anything? The answer is no. The woman at the humanitarian ministry who ate our money, a woman, Omar, Hadisa Omar. The EFCC and this DSS, they invited her. Did she come? The EFCC waited for her for 2 not feeling well. I'm talking of a woman.
But that's not bordering on terrorism.
Oh, please. Hold on.
I mean, that's the allegation.
Hold on, please. A crime is a crime. That is a criminal offense. Get it right. There is no small or big crime. The moment you have committed a crime, go and answer for it. Don't choose and pick. Apart from that, there are people who are terrorizing this country today. In fact, people who have sponsored terrorism. Their names are well known to everybody, including the president. Moses, have they been invited? Not to talk of that, they refuse to come. What are you saying? The former Attorney General of this country, the former Attorney General, at the helm of our legal system, he ran away with $2.4 billion of our money. He ran away. Nobody has mentioned his name anywhere since he left this country.
But what does that tell you? Mr. Darlington, the point Moses made is this. Ajero was invited. But let me add also, the first time police invited him, they put out the information, and we knew that he was invited.
Exactly.
He honored the invitation.
Exactly.
This time, the DSS said they invited him, and he failed. But we didn't hear about the invitation until they now arrested him.
Good. Hold on. I'm coming there. Hold on. We have a law. Let me educate the buyer Ononoga. Maybe he does not know. For you to arrest anybody, anywhere, the person must have refused to honor an invitation by you as a security agency. And then when he refused it, maybe 3 times, you go to court. Court will tell you and issue you a bench warrant for you to arrest that person anywhere you see him. That is the process and the procedure. Did we hear such a thing from DSS? He invited, he said it's that day, that particular day that he was supposed to answer them, that they saw him traveling outside. What crime has he committed there? Why can't you wait for him to come back? Why didn't you go to court and obtain bench warrants? That is the process and procedure. But looking at the people I mentioned here who have not answered the security agency, what have you done about it?
Barrister, now from the whole explanation you just gave, we've actually seen DSS also moving into swift action, arresting some individuals in Nigeria. They also say that the reason they occupied Serap headquarters in Abuja also is a legal firm. Now, what do you have to say about this legally?
That's the illegality. They are choosing and picking. Whenever you are not in the good book of government, they will find all the reasons in this world to put a charge on your head.
Isn't that a disregard to our democratic
That is what we are saying. Not even democratic norm. We are talking of illegality in a democracy. You are saying that because it did not affect you. Imagine if it affects you now. You will now know that this government is very harsh. That's not how to do things in a democracy. You should put it out there. And people should know exactly. Look, the police invited this man. He answered them. At the end of the day, the terrorism charges were dropped because nothing came out of it. The next time we had it, he should come. That this other charge now is intimidation and conduct likely to commit breach of peace and all that. That he came with a crowd of his members to police headquarters. That means he came to intimidate them. What kind of thing is this? Did they come with a stick or cutlass or gun? So these things are just, it has become ridiculous. You mess up our laws. Do you know what it means to put treasonable felony on somebody's head? Do you know what it means?
All right, now, Mr. Boluwa.
So, if you look at what Ajero was accused of, how does that constitute a treasonable felony? The police invited him. Nothing came out. It is near you, DSS. So how many people are invited on the same matter? Can they consolidate it so that one agency can prosecute him on the same offense? Police thought of a treasonable felony. All of a sudden, nothing came out of it. They say it was a mistaken kiniko. They were looking for somebody. The person now see this and that. They left him. He left. He went.
Mr. Boluwa, let's bring you also into this conversation of Joe Ajero, or NLC itself now, having issues as the case may be. Now, back sometime last month, we also saw how the Max people, who later came up to say they are security operatives, stormed the headquarters of NLC in Abuja. And with this arrest of Joe Ajero on his way en route to UK, and now that the TUC in UK are of the opinion that the arrest is more like a violation of the trade union's freedom. Mr. Boluwa, do you also share that line of thought? And if this arrest of Joe Ajero is a violation of trade, on unions' freedom, what do you really have to say about this government and the way or their modus operandi as regards gagging the people?
All right, so concerning Comrade Ajero, one thing we must understand, there is no infringement of human rights in this particular case. Number one, there was some conversation around the NLC building, according to the security agency. And it was turned towards toppling the government. And if I live in my house, there's a security threat within the house. Any member of the house can call on the police. And if there is a particular threat within the house also that can affect the society, whoever is available, or most of the people there in that house, will be arrested. So when they have discovered such, he was invited. And it did not meet up with the dates he was invited. Mark my word, it did not meet up with that date. I will not sit and be analyzing with sentiment. It did not meet up.
He rescheduled.
Yes.
And then the police accepted the rescheduled note.
That is a fantastic one.
Mr.
Barrister, allow him to speak.
Barrister,
Let us not mislead the public.
Please hold on, allow him to speak.
No, let us
Barrister, no, you hold on.
There are some information.
Barrister, I would like for you to hold on and allow him to speak, please. Barrister, thank you very much.
But he's not saying the right thing.
Barrister, you will have your turn. Thank you. Go ahead.
He could not meet up and he rescheduled. And that reschedule was respected and accepted by the police. And that was a good one from the security agency. And don't forget, under normal circumstances, you are not permitted to reschedule when you are invited on a critical national matter of security. You are not permitted. Except
Mr. Boluwa,
maybe on health reason. Maybe on health reason.
Informing the public.
Maybe on health reason.
That's what I was telling the public. That's what I'm telling you.
I will not condone that.
That's what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. What is that? I should keep quiet.
This
no, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That is not what happened.
Accepted it.
Yes.
So you don't.
Why can you not come and judge him here now?
And tell Nigerians that it's against the law to reschedule. It has happened.
The police that allowed him to go, do you know better than them? After all, he honored you. My question now is, why is it that the police and the DSS are prosecuting the same man on the same offense? Why the police let him go? What is the interest of the DSS on the same matter? Can't you look at it from that angle? Did the police say that they should, in fact, DSS have no matter in this, they have no case in this matter. Because first, the police invited him, and after the investigation and after the discussion, they let him go.
They rescheduled for 30th of
Yes,
September.
the next reschedulement or the rescheduled date, they now brought another charge. That means the first one, the terrorism charge, is null and void. They now say that they are inviting him for what? Intimidation. The conduct likely. Is that not what they said? Please, if I'm wrong, somebody should answer me. Somebody should answer me. So, if you are not looking at from that angle, the first charge or the first allegation is no longer relevant. So, why would now somebody come and say on a national critical, what is critical about? I told you that when they want to hang a dog, they give it a bad name. Didn't they tell him when he went to the police that it was a case of mistaking whatever, this and that they are happy he under their... He did not even spend up to 10 minutes, he left.
But Barrister,
so if it was a treasonable felony, why should you treat him?
Barrister, don't you think maybe the police were limited with information they have that made them to go with the DSS now shifting into action now to talk about the treasonable, alleged treasonable and terrorism financing?
Look, the real thing, the normal procedure, before you bring somebody in for this kind of charge, you must have done your due diligence. You cannot just see somebody on the street and pick him and say, come, we are inviting you for treasonable felony. What kind of joke is that? We have seen the Nigerian force. What kind of joke is that?
We have seen that actually happen in Nigeria. Even the case of Binance.
It doesn't matter. What you do in Nigeria is irrelevant here. We are talking of law. Law is the same thing all over the world, especially criminal charge. You don't decide it on your own. There are processes and procedures for criminal charge, especially treasonable felony. You don't joke with it. You see somebody say, come, we are inviting you for treasonable felony. You must have your evidence. And when the person comes, you present it before him and say, Mr. Man, we saw you with the gun. You saw you with this. You are trying to topple the government. These are the facts. These are what you have done. These are your collaborators.
Can you just help us, Barrister, now explain so that maybe a 10-year-old child will be able to understand what the treasonable felony is? Because we also saw some protesters that were arrested also being charged with treasonable felony.
Overwhelming evidence that you have sat into a house with some people and you are planning how to topple a government. And the evidence are there. Your discussions, your written documents. You don't just wake up and say you want to topple a government. There must be plan now. Those plans must be unearthed by any security agent and then expose them. So that by the time they are bringing you to court or anywhere, the charge, the evidence will be presented to you that we saw you talking with some people about toppling a government, that we saw these ammunitions with you. Do you topple a government by talking? Can you do that? There must be human element in it. The human and the mental element must be involved. This is a criminal matter. So it's not enough for you to say, this and that. You are, where is the evidence? Up till now, where is the evidence? Both from the police and the DSS, nothing. Nothing has been proved anywhere. So what are you not telling me? So if they now say that Fina, you are inviting for Tuesday, somebody will now say, hey, Tina, go now. Go now. He went there. He did not renege. He went there. What came out of that? For a crime of that nature, which you are alleging, do you need to treat it? Judge should have been in custody by now with the court order.
You've made your point. We would like for Mr. Oluwa to finish it.
You should not come and tell me that critical number. What is critical? The other people that have done worse things, where are they? Why can't you bring them? I'm talking about people who sponsor terrorism that is disturbing us today. Why can't people talk about that one?
Let's get Mr. Oluwa's on view on this one.
It's obvious I have nothing to say.
No, you don't put words into his mouth.
Based on what is happening in Nigeria, we must understand that we'll all have individual perspectives to issues of national discussion. All right? Yeah. So, whenever there's a case in a nation, you look at the legality and the technicalities. And well, for me, as a nationalist, as a young nationalist who respect the elders, I will want to push that when we have another security agency has also invited you, that means for now, you may or you may not travel out of the country. You may or you may not, since there is already a case on ground, even though it has not been caught yet. Because I know that's always the angle, the law, we always look at it as if in charge of court. That's the only thing we all know. But beyond that, if you have been invited that a particular phone was stolen in your arena, you cannot travel within that period. Because there's a case against already. So now, he was arrested at the airport, not in his house.
All right then.
So that is another conversation entirely.
This conversation
Moses,
will continue to
you
have this
cannot, as a security,
Barrister.
you cannot be a judge in your own case. It is the court that will say this man should not travel, not you.
Moses, I wanted to-
That's what I'm saying. Not you. You don't have the right to do that.
Of the law, which we really appreciate.
I wanted to just one more question to Mr. Okpoluwe ahead of the Fearless October, because in the course of the program, he did establish, or he made a case that Nigerians are docile.
Yeah.
But I also know of the fact that he said that in 2022, October 2022, it was part of the people that poured into the streets to protest NSAS, you know. So in the light of the suffering, the hunger and everything, are you of the opinion that Nigerians, the docile Nigerians, should come out and express themselves by way of peaceful protest against the hunger in the land by October 1?
We should have come out before now. That's my answer.
Is it too late?
We should have come out
Is
before
it too
now.
late now? Is
I won't say
October
it's too late, but we should have come out before now.
But what happened to
Alright.
the August 1st to 10th? That's a protest too. We came out to
It was
talk
not
about.
harmonized. It was not harmonized. I won't call that a protest. It's not. It wasn't harmonized.
Was it,
Interestingly, well, we also
was it
saw...
not hampered by
Barrister,
government?
Barrister, please. You're not a host, Barrister. You're a guest. Thank you very much.
Moses,
Well, we do
you
know
are
that,
gagging, you are gagging me like Tinubu.
I'm not gagging you, Barrister. Well, we do know that during the protest, some individuals claimed to have been induced with 5,000 naira to protest against the protesters.
Protester, yes.
And some of them, when interviewed, actually, even though they were carrying placards saying no to protest, they talked about hunger as well. Well, that's for you to, chew on. Now let's get into another conversation, and we'd like our gentlemen to stay with us as we get into this conversation. Well, this is a conversation bordering on ethnicity and what Nigerians are battling with some Nigerians saying, look, we don't have a problem with Igbo, that's the Igbo people residing in Lagos. What we have a problem with, our problem is with Yorubas who are pretending to be Lagosians or Lagos indigents as they are occupying important positions, electoral positions within Lagos. Let's talk about this conversation when we come back from this break.
All right, welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. The World Igbo Congress, representing Nigerians of Southeast extraction in the United States, has unequivocally condemned the escalating genocide against the Igbo people, both in Nigeria and abroad. During their 2024 annual convention, the Congress emphasized the urgent need to confront the existential threats faced by Igbos, citing increasing ethnic hostility, hate speech, destruction of properties and businesses, racial profiling, and targeted violence. They specifically highlighted the bigoted comments made by MC Olomo during the 2023 elections as a catalyst for this intensified hostility. The Congress reaffirmed their support for the self-determination movement in the Southeast and demanded the immediate and unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, who remains in detention. In a recent development, the Renaissance Patriots Foundation, representing indigents of Lagos, have made clarifications that that they don't have issues with Igbos residents in Nigeria, in Lagos, in the Southwest, but raised concerns about individuals from the Southwest, that is Yoruba people from the Southwest, who are claiming to be Lagosians and using that as opportunities to gain political and economic capital from Nigeria, from Lagosians. Meanwhile, Amaka, a Nigerian national living in Canada, has also denied reports of her arrest, explaining that she was invited by Toronto police following a complaint filed by the Nigerian government. After presenting the video evidence, according to her, concerning the alleged threats made against the Igbo people by members of the Bini and Yoruba communities, Amaka was released without further questioning. Subsequently and consequently, Canadian officials have used the opportunity to urge Nigerian government to address ethnic tensions peacefully, highlighting the need for a harmonious resolution to the ongoing crisis. We have Canadians, we have a foreign government now advising us to go home and peacefully resolve our ethnic problems. Well, we still have in the studio with us Barrister Darlington Agomo, a political affairs analyst, and Mr. Ope Oluwa, the director of Africa Bridge Initiative. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Ope Oluwa, let me come to you on this. You have heard what the Yoruba indigents, Lagos indigents said, that they don't have problems with the Igbo people resident in Lagos, that the problem they have is Yoruba people from Southwest who now come to Lagos to claim indigenship of Lagos State, and that they are using that to gain political and economic opportunities ahead of the people of Lagos State. How do you react to that?
Well, that particular group, I don't know the leader, I don't know where they're coming from, and I don't know their antecedents, trying to determine who is a Lagosian and who is not a Lagosian. And for them saying that they are not having any problem about whether somebody is Yoruba or Igbo, but they're only having problem with the fact that some Yorubas are claiming Lagosians. So for such statement, which is further looking towards dividing the country more. Because for me, I'm a nationalist. I believe in the unity of Nigeria, and I do not entertain such a divisive statement from any group. And even I don't even know the social legality of such a group. Are they speaking for any royal family in Lagos, or are they speaking for the deity of Lagos, or are they speaking for the culture of Lagos? What is their motive? For every man that speaks in Nigeria, especially to the press, there's always a motive. And who is sponsoring them? You cannot just wake up overnight and saying against what we are saying. But what we are saying is that Nigeria must be united. I was looking at the GDP of Lagos being the highest contributor to the national GDP. And a group that has no solid economic structure is now coming to divide the state or the country. That is totally unacceptable.
Sorry, which group in particular are you talking about?
That's a Renaissance group, or what do they call themselves? So they say they are patriots. I don't know where they are protected to.
No, you just say that they don't have, you don't know them, but you also know that they don't have a solid economic base.
Because I don't know that, that's why I don't know which are they representing royal family, or are they representing. For instance, we have the Ibile in Lagos. So if somebody is to speak, the Ibile, that's the 5 divisions of Lagos. All right, that's the 5 divisions.
Okay, the original indigenous of Lagos.
The 5 divisions. So if anybody is speaking, you should be able to be speaking on behalf of any of the division. So if you are not rooted in any of the division, so who are you to speak? Because even if you are rooted in any of the division, what are you being denied of any position? If you are not denied, so why are you claiming that somebody is denying you your economic rights?
I want us to understand, because a couple of people out there don't understand these things. The Ibile, you say, are the 5 divisions in Lagos. Can somebody from Ogun State come and become a member of the Ibile in Lagos?
No, it's not possible.
Okay, so clearly there are people who own Lagos.
There are people that own Lagos.
And now these same people are saying, look, we have people from other parts of the Southwest who have come and they are taking advantage over the indigenes. So do you now believe that not everybody from the Southwest is a Lagosian?
Nobody can claim that he or she has been economically disadvantaged in Lagos.
No, but the people have come out to say that.
They're on their own. They are speaking for themselves.
They're representing indigenous of Lagos.
No. They do not say they are representing Lagos. They say they are a Renaissance group, patriotic group.
Representing
Assuming they are saying
Lagos.
they are part of any of the division, I will have enough conversation with them. For now, for me, it's an unrealistic
it could be a conglomeration of all the...
It's not possible.
Of all the EBs.
It's not possible. As far as I'm concerned, it's not possible. They cannot be speaking on behalf of the 5 division. So if they are speaking on behalf of the 5 division, they should come out to state which of the division they are coming from. If they are coming from Ikeja, if they are coming from Badagry, if they are coming from Ikorodu, then it will be easy to analyze. Now, what do I say so? When we have a 5 division, none of these 5 division is complaining that this port has been hijacked. So who are you to be speaking on behalf of them? You can't be speaking on behalf of us. Nobody can infringe on any economic capacity of anyone in Lagos. Everybody is free to become wherever they want to become in Lagos. All right.
But
Dangote is in charge of the oil sector now and is having capacity in Lagos. Is Dangote from Lagos? So when I am these days, I'm not too comfortable with people having all of these devices, ethnic discussions.
Because I know of the fact that we had a former commissioner of works in Lagos State, Raoul Aborebo-Shola, who later became the governor of Osun State. We have Bamidele Obeyemi, who is now the leader of the National Assembly, who served as Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Lagos, but now he's representing Ekiti State. You know, we can go on and on and on in the political sphere. And these people have come out to say, look, we don't have problems with Igbos. And Mr. Polo, let me even ask, do you think that the Yorubas and Igbos have a problem in Lagos?
There's no problem with Igbos and Yorubas in Lagos.
I hope you understand also that during the 2020 general election, there was a video that made its way on the social media where a particular person in Nigeria, in Lagos State now, were kind of issuing out threat to a particular sect and also telling a particular people not to vote anyhow candidate when they want to exercise their own franchise as they are voting in Nigeria.
We also had a presidential spokesperson who is now a presidential spokesperson say that Igbos should stay clear from Lagos politics.
And also we have a senator who also made a statement about the Igbos here in Nigeria, in Lagos State. And also we saw where a chief in Lagos State also was also calling for the Igbos, if they did not do their bidding, how they'll be treated afterwards.
Yeah, in the last election, we saw so many naira flowing, and we also saw some dollars flowing. So, as a result of the flowing of those naira and dollars, anybody can say anything.
You said nobody is against anybody or preventing anybody from
Nobody can prevent anyone from... Now, you are broken it down. Hold on. You are broken it down to the fact that some people have been appointed in Lagos, they are this and that. The same way Joe Igbokwe was appointed in Lagos. The same way Gube, in charge, who is not from Lagos, in charge of the budgeting of Lagos. So that means anybody can become anything, economically, politically in Lagos.
What we have established
is what I'm saying.
Is the fact that there are people outside Lagos, people who are not indigenous of Lagos, they are making economic and political gains from Lagos.
Like 90%
and that is what the
them.
Renaissance Petrol Group has said.
They are not just making economic gains, they are also developing Lagos. And they are also contributing to the GDP of Lagos. So if they are contributing to the growth and development of my state, they should be part of the benefit of my state, economically and politically.
All right, Barrister, let me come to you now. You've heard the argument so far. And the Renaissance patriots, according to Opolo Ataiwo, have not identified themselves with the pillars of Lagos, those that own the land, as it were. If these individuals that are not exactly, according to his words, identified with those that own the land, and these are the ones saying, look, we don't have a problem with non-indigents. We only have a problem with certain people from the Southwest who are claiming and taking over positions. I have two questions, Barrister. First, the first question is, if these people are not, if they are the ones speaking and the pillars of Lagos are not speaking, does that mean that those that truly own Lagos don't want non-indigents in Lagos because they are not speaking? Second question is, should it be a problem really if an individual naturalizes in an area, having lived 20 years or more in an area? Should it be a problem if that individual vies for electoral positions in that area, regardless of where it is, Lagos or anywhere else?
Yeah, Moses.
Two questions in one.
Good. Let me look at it from two angles, just like your question came. In the first place, there is nothing wrong if you want to protect your interests in an environment that you have been born or you have grown up, you have inherited from your forefathers. There is nothing wrong. That is what is causing the war in the Middle East today. Somebody cannot come from outside to disinherit you, and you will keep quiet. It's not that means you are not a son of your father. You can be regarded as a bastard, and nobody wants to be a bastard in his own land. Nobody. What these people are saying is very germane, because the real Lagosian, the real indigenous of Lagosian, the people that started Lagos, the people that own this Lagos, they are not much in population. So these other people that are surrounding them have come to overwhelm them, dominated them, denied them their rights, and that's what they are saying today. The facts are there. Tinubu, who was the governor of this Lagos State, is not from Lagos State, he's from Osun State. Sanwo-Olu is from Ogun State with his deputy. Even Oshibajo is from Ogun State. Are you getting what I'm saying? The other governors, Jakonde is from Kwara. So when you go through the history of Lagos, non-indigenous have occupied the highest position in this Lagos.
Why is this so bad?
Especially considering the fact that we don't see people from Lagos State
contesting elections.
To become whatever. Good. That's what these people are saying. Then these other people now who came in, who are not the real indigenous of Lagos, are the ones who causing problem. They are the ones that will tell the Igbos to leave Lagos. Meanwhile, the real indigenous are not even saying that. That's what these people are trying to draw our attention to. That this is that these people are saying is not from us. So the people that are saying it, they are not Lagosians. So that is the attention they want to draw to us, which my friend here doesn't want to agree. That's what they are raising up. How did he know that the people that are saying it are not the Biles? How did he know? Does he know them? If they are raising a very serious question, you should look at that thing, because it has been coming up consistently. Bayo Ononoga said after the election that this will be the last time. Do you hear that word? That this will be the last time the Igbos will take part in any politics in Lagos. Can you imagine that statement? You have what a whole Oba said about the Igbos. Very inflammatory statement.
So if someone from Osun State or someone from Ogun State can contest elections in Lagos and win, what then stops someone from Anambra or
my brother? I have asked that question before. I have asked it before. Because let me even tell you, this is that they are claiming. As far back as 1958, during the Constituent Assembly in at Tafawa Balewa Square, all the regions, north, east, and southwest, they all produced 12 members. Then Lagos as a separate colony produced 4. So if Lagos is part of the southwest, how come? Do you know that at that period that I was talking about, even during our Awolowo period, if they are pursuing you for tax, immediately you cross Jibo, they will leave you alone. You have entered Lagos. If the southwest officials are pursuing you for tax, whatever, the moment you cross Jibo,
the Crown Colony,
they will leave you alone. You are no longer under them. So if you trace the history of this particular Lagos, you will discover that it is those people that are within that territory. So how can you now come and dominate the place? In such a very crude manner. Selling their land, confiscating their property.
But you know, someone said that power is not being given a la carte. You have to find a way to grab it and take it and run.
All of us cannot be Agbero. It is now left for these people that are, let them sorosoke. Let them raise this noise. Let them make it so that those people that are disturbing Lagos will hear it. That know that they are not from here. I want to ask you, Fina, or any other person, please, can you mention one day, one particular day, where the Igbos disturb Lagos in any form or shape, that they are rioted, they kill anybody, or they are fighting or doing something against the interests of Lagos State? Can you mention one particular day? They are very peaceful. Doing their businesses, contributing to the growth of Lagos. So how can you wake up and say Igbo should not, they should go? Every time somebody will wake up and say this. Every time somebody will wake up and say this. Why? The houses, are they not here? Please, why can't you talk to them? Because you know that those people, they don't have time for discussion. They will put dagger. Is that not why you fear them? But the people that are very peaceful, who have surrounded the entire Southwest, kidnapping and raping their women, is it the Igbos? Why can't you channel your energy there? Why can't you? I'm even blaming Gani Adams. He's supposed to be around Okankafo. He should be in the bush fighting for his people. But he's here behaving as an emperor, writing letters. Why can't you go and flush out these people that are disturbing the Southwest? All these terrorists that have surrounded the are they the Igbos? So this thing baffles me. You see people who are diligent in their duty. Instead of you to even embrace them, welcome them, you are not seeing them as a threat. Do you know that the stabilizing force in Lagos today is the Igbos? If not, these people cannot live with the houses. They cannot. Okay, Barrister, now that the World Igbo Congress, the faction of it from the United States have come up to talk about how Igbos are being, marginalized and all that, do you think that this call or this clamor from this group, the faction in the United States, do you think is going to make any headway to, reduce the marginalization that Igbos are facing, not just in Nigeria, but also in the international body? It will help, so that those people in authority will know that we know their gimmicks, we know their antics. Thank God some people in Lagos are beginning to ask questions. You know that some people are going to court now over their land that was sold to Dangote. Dangote told us they sold that land to him for $100 million, not 100 million naira, $100 million. The person that was in office who sold that land, is it his own land? Does the land shift? As to say the land moved from somewhere in the Southwest and came here, so it is father's property, so he can sell it to anybody. Is that not why they are going to court now? So it is good we raise this awareness so that people will know actually those who are causing this problem, they are not from Lagos. They came in here just like any other person. They are migrants. So you cannot come and be imposing, bringing all sorts of problems. So why do you think that the people who have been causing the little, troubles, like you rightly said, why is it that they're not being, bring to book? Because they are the one in authority. Fina, they are the one in authority. That is the problem here. They are the one that have imposed themselves on the people who own the land, deciding what will happen and what will not happen. That is why I'm calling the real indigenous of Lagos. They should wake up. They should wake up, because this thing they are doing now, it will cause a very big problem if they are not careful. They should wake up and call them to. They know them. They know all of them who are causing this problem. From your explanation, you made mention of the Crown Colony settlement and all that. Now, my question is this: how does the people of Lagos, how does it become so docile to the part that people who are not indigenous of the state will now come over to take over, right, and outshine them? Even in their population now, they now overwhelm the real indigenes because they were not much. They were about 2 million as at that time. You can see. And they now begin to, because of their large population, they begin to take advantage of the economic, boom in Lagos. But the indigenes are very minor. They are very minute in number. So that was what happened. And because this thing has been going on for a long time, like they say in my place, when any evil have allowed to fester for too long, it becomes a tradition and culture. A lot of history there. Let me come to Mr. That's what happened. So look at it, Mr. Okoro, before you go further. You see this Agbero culture now that is in Lagos now. Everything they want to do now, they invite Agberos. You want to protest, they mobilize them to counter it. You want to do election, they mobilize them. Do you see now that is creeping into our lexicon? Do you see what I'm talking about now? If somebody does not come in and say, look, you this side, we don't know where you came from, or you go back, who invited you in the first place? They have messed up Lagos. They are messed up. That's what they are talking about. I grew up in Lagos here. I grew up at number 4 Akerele Street. Sanwo-Olu is in number 11. So the same Akerele. I know him like the back of my hands. Sanwo-Olu. We grew up on the same street. This comedian, Binga there in car number 2, Oyekon, that's their family house. Or Oyekon, that's their family house. If you move from Oyekon Road, Oyekon Street, the next thing is Boss Corner. I know this place as I grew up in the 70s. Lagos was so peaceful until somebody, because of selfish interest, brought people here who have constituted a menace. And people kept quiet.
Thank you, Barrister. But Mr. Okweluwe, the World Igbo Congress had a convention, you know, the 2024 convention, and they called on the federal government to release Nnamdi. Do you share their views?
Now, there's a case against Nnamdi Kanu by the federal government, which has lasted close to a decade or more than a decade. Now, how do we treat the case of treason felony, and how do we treat the case of his members, teaming members, who are also causing trouble, causing sit at home, also trying to topple the government, both at the state level and at the national level. So, calling for the release of Nnamdi is not the solution.
Okay.
The solution is whatever havoc he might have caused, directly or indirectly, either by himself or through his group, can we correct those havoc? Then if we can correct those havoc, and if the government is also sure of the safety of the people, especially the safety of its own people after the release, then that process, this present government is not too quick in dabbling into that case because they were not part of the foundation. All right? So, can we correct all the anomalies that has taken place?
Okay, so you...
Now, for instance, now, if an armed robber has been arrested, after 5 years, do you now start taking Ashwebi to campaign for his release? You don't have to go about it. You know, sometimes I'm not too, sometimes I'm a bit constrained when I see, especially maybe elders, in quotes, who speak for the negative as if it is positive, with all sense of confidence. And it's a challenge for us because some of these same elders and leaders were part of people that packaged and presented Buhari to us. And they said when they were young, the man did this, the man did that. These same elders are now coming on board also, speaking with confidence about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I am afraid we must understand that history must never be forgotten in any case. Okay. And once you remember history, you can be able to remove sentiment.
All right, now, Mr. Boluwa, talking about sentiment and removal of it, we have the Canadian government now, you know, advising Nigeria, you know, regarding the statement or the call out between Dabira Erua and, you know, calling on the Toronto government or Canadian government to arrest and caution Amaka Sundberger, who also put out a video on TikTok talking about how she is going to poison people from Lagos and Benin. What do you really make of that advice? We should go home and, you know, work on our tribal differences.
It's a good advice. It's a good advice. And the video, nobody's talking about the video now. Is the video positive? Is it negative influence? Nobody's talking about it.
But there was also a video she showed that counted.
The only thing I'm only talking about
that's
now
her own
is
video
ethnic groups.
on there with
the video is negativity in nature. That is the truth of the matter. So whether it's coming from an Hausa or an Igbo, that's another conversation. That video is dividing or is about to divide the citizen. And if the government is seeing that this particular video is going to be a threat, is it not a normal thing for them to call out for the arrest of such person, whether within the land or outside the land? So that the Canadians are saying that we should put our house in order, they're only playing to gallery. There's nothing big about it.
People have made worse statements.
All right, so because
nothing is being done to those people
the Canadians also, they are a government on their own. and we can't run their government for them. The same way they can't run our own government for us. So what matters now is that, is the video positive or negative? The video is negative, and that is one thing I want us to address.
All right, so can we consider that your concluding thoughts? Or
all right.
Something you want to add?
Nigeria cannot move economically with all of this, our sentiment about ethnic groups. Nigeria cannot move in terms of sustainable development when we continue our divisive statement. Nigeria will only grow seamlessly if we focus on agric, if we focus on ICT, if we focus on artificial intelligence that has no bias for Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa language. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Okweoluwa Taiwo. Barrister, your concluding thoughts.
Good. Let me sound it in a clear term. Nnamdi Kanu is not a terrorist. Ipob is not a terrorist. The court have said so. In fact, the court said that the federal government should pay them compensation. That is why nobody, no country anywhere in the world have seen Ipob as a terrorist group or Nnamdi Kanu as a terrorist. That is why the United Nations have written 3 letters to Nigerian government to tell them why Nnamdi Kanu is being detained. The UK and the US are interested in Nnamdi Kanu's case. Are you telling me that these world bodies are now supporting terrorism in Nigeria? And why haven't the federal government of Nigeria reacted against them? That is one. Then 2, Nnamdi Kanu his matter have gone from the least court to the highest court, where they said they should release him. That one is sacrosanct. His lawyer, Ejimako, have packaged the 9 cases, judgment in favor of Nnamdi Kanu, and taken it to the federal government that these are grounds why you should release this man. He didn't commit any. In fact, the court said that it is the federal government that committed offense against Nnamdi Kanu. So on what basis will you now detain him when Sowore has been let go? Igbo has been let go. What is the justice here? I'm talking of an Igbo who read a secessionist address before the camera. He brought out their money, Fadaka. He brought out all the symbols of state authority. And he showed it before the camera. When they went to Israel, they saw arms and ammunition. Did you see one stick in Nnamdi Kanu's house when you went there? So on what basis are you detaining this man?
All right, so
if that is not injustice, please tell me what is injustice.
All right, so that will be your concluding thoughts.
So that is what is causing problem. The Igbo man is the most peaceful person in the whole of Africa, if not Nigeria.
Well, we must say a very big thing.
So detaining him is causing more problem. It is not Ipob that is killing people in the south. It is a non-government.
For your time and your thoughts on the program. Thank you also to Okweoluwa Taiwo, Director, African Bridge Initiative. Well, thank you for coming on the program, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, trends will be coming your way. Stay with us.
From the views on the street
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents,
Corruption kills 3 things that makes a society.
representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay. towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People TV. And we have the trends. On September 1st, a tragic incident unfolded in Washington, D.C. when Justin Robinson, a dedicated violence interrupter for the city, was fatally shot and killed by D.C. police. Robinson, who had been working to mediate conflicts and reduce violence in the community, was well known and respected for his effort to create a safer environment for residents. According to reports, police responded to a call about a car crash at a McDonald's in Washington, D.C. Upon arrival, they found Justin Robinson unconscious in the drive with a gun in his lap. As Robinson began to regain consciousness, he reached for the gun. Officers instructed him to put the weapon down, but he didn't comply. They opened fire. After discharging 11 rounds, Robinson was pronounced dead at the scene. And Robinson's death has caused an uproar in the D.C. community, leading to locals signing off on a petition entitled Justice for Justin. And we have some people reacting to that story and wake up with the cause surrounding him and yelling that would put anyone in a state of shock and confusion. Exactly. Imagine waking up, regaining consciousness after crashing your car, thinking the cops about to help you, and they killed you. And this is not the first time, we're having an issue of police or having, killing someone in the United States. And this is also not the first time people are talking about justice for one individual or the other. But now that this story actually is out here, we don't really understand or know what exactly that happened there. But the fact that it was a car crash, Chukuma, and then the guy just regained consciousness and he has his gun on the lap and police surrounded him. And, next to that thing was an 11 round gunshot.
It's quite unfortunate because in policing, the rules of engagement, they could have simply demobilized the young man.
That is the thing. Why not shut his hand so that the gun will fall off?
Simply demobilize the young man instead of having to open 11
rounds.
And wasted him. You see, when people talk about what has enveloped, there's a climate of hate, a climate of racism that has enveloped the United States. And that was what gave rise to the Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah, exactly.
Went across the United States up onto the UK. And other places where you have the black communities. And unfortunately, the black people are always at the receiving end of this kind of unfortunate spectacle. My heart goes out to the family of the young man who lost his life. But I also want to advise, the U.S. government to ensure that the police officers involved in this murder, because it's a clear case of murder now, are brought to justice so that the young man can rest in peace.
And bringing it back to Nigeria, the Vice President Kashim Shettima was hailed by locals for his hands-on approach in assisting flood victims in Maiduguri, Borno State. He arrived in Maiduguri to conduct an urgent assessment of the severe flooding that has recently affected the area. The floods caused by the overflow of the Alao Dam have submerged homes, roads, and critical infrastructure, displacing thousands of residents. The vice president was seen walking through floodwaters to reach affected areas during his visit. Shetima assured the people of Maiduguri of the federal government's intervention to alleviate their suffering. Also saw ostrich also moving on, kind of lost on the highway. And some people also say that there were some crocodiles also seen. And, the flood also entered the zoo, and some of the animals there set themselves free. We just pray that we won't have any attack or, the wild animals on humans. Reacting to the story, Roy Malugui, he wrote on a tweet, he said, "You got prior notice, so Cameroon said they have opened their dam, but you guys left ours closed. Aspergillus, beggar concrete now, and don't play with waters." And that brings me also to that notion that we have 1.6 billion naira mapped out for flood victims in Nigeria, and it was only 20 million. That is what is released. And now we're having people dying. We're having thousands of people displaced. The federal government have swiftly moved into action of having another IDP camp created. Nigerians are now living in Nigeria as refugees, and we are not really having any war. This is not South Sudan, for crying out loud. This is not Sudan where there's war. This is a country where there's relative peace, and then we're having flooding that would have been prevented.
We have a piece of the graveyard.
Oh, that reminds me. I hope you know that in Maiduguri now, even cops were being washed ashore by the flood.
Oh, yes, because the flood affected hospitals.
The cemeteries and hospitals.
Cemeteries and the rest of them. So cops.
It's another
so
humanitarian
there's a likelihood of a health emergency or spring up in that area. But I do hope that something is done in that regard. Unfortunately, so. Well, this is how far we can stretch the show today. We must say a very big thank you to you for staying with us. Do well to subscribe and continue the conversation on YouTube. We will like to hear from you. This is Voice of the People, where everyone has a voice. In fact, you have more than just a voice. You can also do videos of yourself airing your view. Send it to us, and we will air it right here on the program. All right. On behalf of the backroom staff, I must say a very big thank you to you. On behalf of my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.